Well, hello, I'm Jeff Baumgartner, a senior editor at Light Reading. I'm glad to be joined by Kailem Anderson with Blue Planet, a division of Sienna. Kailem, thanks for being here.
No, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So to begin, how do you explain Blue Planet's role in the mobile space to, let's say, a skeptical operator who might think or consider Sienna as an optical vendor?
I think there's three key points that I want to flag here. The first one is mobile networks don't operate in isolation, right? They rely on transport, they rely on cloud, they do require IP and optical networks to plumb them together, right? And the role of Blue Planet there is really to bring the automation, the visibility, and the cross-domain intelligence that ties it all together so that operators can run mobile networks with the same precision and efficiencies that they expect from a transport or a wireline network. Right? Second point that I think is really important is where Blue Planet sits in a traditional IT stack for a telecom operator, right? We sit in that services management layer underneath the BSS, above the various network domains, whether that's wireline, wireless, or cloud. What does that mean? Everything flows through us. Every request, every bit of data, operational data flows through Blue Planet, right? So we're in the path of everything wireline, wireless, and cloud, right? Why is that important? I think it's important for a few reasons. The use cases that we support in wireless are very complex. If you look at an operator, for example, out of Western Europe, a large tier one operator, they leverage Blue Planet to do the end-to-end slice management, right? Where you basically deliver a network slice spanning transport, core, and RAN, and we stitch all that together to deliver an enhanced customer experience. If you look at an operator in South America, they actually leverage that Blue Planet suite of products to deliver end-to-end RAN automation from the point of lighting up the tower all the way through to the lifecycle management against a set of SLAs. And the final one is we also have OEMs that take our product, embed our technology in their SMOs that they take to market themselves. So the use cases for mobile are very diverse, but the key piece is being able to lifecycle manage a mobile network from planning all the way through to assurance.
Mobile networks present some different types of constraints, right? So what are the unique requirements you're seeing in large scale mobile transformations that simply don't show up or are much more easy in a cable or fiber project? And how does that change the way a program needs to be scoped?
Yeah, it's a good question. So unlike traditional fiber or cable rollouts, mobile transformations have to account for a broad range of requirements, things from spectrum, mobility, dealing with wide dynamic ranges in terms of traffic patterns. So basically, OSS programs need to have stronger real-time visibility, tighter cross-domain coordination, and really automation that adapts to continuous change, right? That's the nature of a mobile network, right? They're not static, they're dynamic. Some of the learnings that I've had, so obviously we support both wireline and wireless networks. And the reality is how you optimize a wireline network or a transport network from a wireless network is completely different, right? How you actually build your OSS systems to deliver the outcomes are vastly different between those two use cases, right? So, for example, with mobile networks, right, you have spikes in volumes that go up crazy over short periods of time as people go out and buy a mobile phone, right, between their lunch break, right? So you see order volumes go from zero to tens of thousands in some operators in a small period of time, right? If you compare that to a wireline network where the volumes are much, much smaller, right, to roll out an IP/MPLS service or a wavelength service or something like that, but the transactions are highly complex, right? They're called long-running orders, as an example, where the activation of a wireline service may take many weeks because you have to factor in things like truck roll and other systems that do take time to actually deliver that service. So understanding the difference between wireless and wireline is absolutely critical, and how you optimize an OSS stack for one versus the other is almost completely the opposite.
Interesting. And let's talk a little bit about optimization, maybe on the AI side of things. But now when you sit down with the heads of mobile networks, how do you separate the hype from the real operational use cases? And where and how do you think AI agents will change, how mobile networks are run maybe over the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the reality is AI agents become real when they automate the repetitive, high-value operational decisions mobile networks make every day, from things like fault triage through to slicing. And that's where we see operators leaning in very, very hard over the next 2 to 3 years, right? It's not science fiction, but it's a basically practical, measurable outcome that operators are focused on. So I think the adoption curve for agentic AI, generative AI, is going to be much, much quicker than most new technology adoptions. So what does that mean in terms of what we're hearing from our customers? So first of all, we're hearing very clearly as a software vendor that operators don't want us to be telling them all the great stuff we're doing about embedded AI in our products, right? They're skeptical about that, right? It's like, show me really what you're delivering in terms of agentic frameworks. The second point that's absolutely critical is this concept of data, right? We're hearing our telecom operators say, give me access, Blue Planet, to your contextualized data, right? Versus just dumping their information into a data lake and running queries against that. They get that the automations vendors deliver value-added relationships and states to their data, and that's very, very valuable in terms of being able to run AI queries against. Third thing we hear is make your AI open and programmable. I don't want to be beholden to you as a vendor. I want to be able to leverage your data, and I want to be able to build on top of it with my own agentic strategy. So help me democratize AI for my operational data so I can have some level of control on it. Whether that's out of the US or Europe, that they want to develop agents, but they want to do it at their own pace, and they want to have that control.
Yeah, and how has the pace of adoption of AI changed within the last couple of years? I mean, has it just been like a hockey stick, or has it been like a gradual rise in terms of them getting comfortable and going, yes, we need to do this in our networks?
It's been significant in terms of a hockey stick curve. We've seen the type of use case completely flip on its head with agentic AI over the last 18 months. Breadth of use case is important. They want to apply AI to their planning data. They want to apply AI to their orchestration data. And obviously, they want to apply AI to their operational data. So it's driven an explosion in use cases. And it's really also driven operators looking at how AI can be leveraged broadly within their organization, spanning the OSS stack, BSS stack, and the various domains. This is vastly different to where earlier generations of AI were 5, 6, 7 years ago, which were very much just focused on that operational domain.
Okay. And then to wrap things up for today, from an operations standpoint, what do mobile operators need to get right in their OSS and assurance stack before they can truly treat the network as a programmable platform for enterprises as well as developers?
Yeah. So there's a few key points I'd flag here. The first one is to make network APIs and slicing monetizable. Operators really do need an OSS and assurance stack that can expose capabilities reliably, enforce things like SLAs in real time, and automate the full lifecycle end to end, from planning all the way through to assurance. Otherwise, the business models, I think, break really even before you start. So driving a level of standardization within the OSS BSS environment is really important. That's where concepts such as open digital architecture, NAS-based models are so important, right? A strict layer at the BSS, a service layer in the middle, and then various domains integrated together with open and published APIs done in a programmable way is where the industry is going. How do you get there? Well, first of all, the operator needs to be committed to sunsetting legacy and old systems. We live in the world today that is dynamic, real-time, and those systems just don't work well in mobile, cloud, and IoT-based environments. So sunsetting the old to get into the new is critically important, right? Second piece that's really important is a data-first approach, right? Operators should be looking to leverage their stateful OSS data versus dumping information into a data lake, right? If they're leveraging their stateful OSS data, they can get a better outcome when they start building agentic AI use cases on top of it. And then the third point I think that's absolutely critical is think life cycle and have a transformation plan, right? If you're going to move to a next generation OSS, you need to think planning, orchestration, and assurance, and how all three is stitched together. What's the blueprint to get there? I say start with inventory, right? You can't automate what you can't see. If you get your inventory right, you have a foundational data to then build on automation use cases. You can then add things like orchestration and then assurance, and then build an agentic layer over the top that leverages that stateful data. Having a clear vision on where you want to go and a blueprint and a set of stepping stones to get there, I think is absolutely critical in being able to deliver a robust automation strategy and then being able to monetize it in terms of the services you bring to market.
All right. Well, you need to know where you're at before you can continue forward. So that's great. Well, I think that's where we're going to leave it for today. Kailem, so thanks for your time and insights today.
Thank you for having me.
Sure thing.